Hi, this is Joe from Joe's Tech Bits, back to show you another video of some Windows settings. I hope you liked my little robot dog in the intro. I built that in the last couple weeks. It's based on a Raspberry Pi 4B, and it's sold by a company called Freenove. They have quite a few different robots. Actually, I built the first one. I built a four-wheel drive car, which worked out real nice. I like to talk about startups in Windows when you boot the system. You can have many different apps and programs start up when you start up your Windows PC. And a lot of them are unneeded, some of them are needed, but there's a way you can control which ones start and which ones don't. Now if you look down here in the notification area, you see some of these you'll normally always need. Here's the speaker volume control, there's your internet connection, there's OneDrive. If you have OneDrive, that'll show up there. This is my microphone that I'm speaking in on an OBS. And you can also, to see additional, you can click this up arrow and see more. There's Bluetooth settings. There's Windows Security, which is Windows Defender, which is what I use for antivirus right now. My Canon printer, an app that I can transfer from my iPad to the computer. Meet Now, I don't use that. I think I'd like to get rid of that, but I don't use it. I use another one, Google Duo. There's OBS Studio, that's running right now. This is my webcam. And this is where you can eject USB devices. I happen to have a hard drive connected, a backup hard drive, that if I wanted to eject it, I could do it here. There are two good ways to check to see and control your startup items, your startup apps. First one I'd like to show you, if you go to the search bar here, I already have it in my recents, but if you just type startup, and it'll come up right up here, startup apps. Click on that, and here's your startup apps. What you need to do then is to go down through the list and see, there's my Canon printer, there's WebEx Meeting, which I don't use, and I don't want that starting up when I start my computer. Cortana I don't use, so that's off. In order to turn it on, you just click on the other side here, and it would turn it on. I will turn that off. Dell Mobile and Dell Mobile, don't use either of those, and they actually came with the computer. They're what the Dell apps were put on here. My webcam, I use that, so I like to keep that running. Macrium Reflect, I don't need that all the time. Microsoft Edge, I could probably keep that off so it doesn't start automatically. Oh, let's try that. And then that way I can just start it up when I need it. Microsoft OneDrive, My Heritage, Nero Backup, I don't use that right now. The audio services I use. Skype I especially don't use, since I mentioned I use Google Duo, and the rest of these I use. Here's Windows Defender, which is the antivirus that comes with Windows. Now here's one here called Update Checker. That will sit there waiting to see if there's any updates on any of your apps. Now if you look here, it also tells you what the impact is on each of these if you have it on or off. I wonder if that would change if I turned it on. Really didn't change. So you can see all these things, if they're all on, they'd be all starting up when you start up your computer and just running or just running in the background and taking up a lot of your CPU time. So you can see it's a good idea to check this and see what's starting up so that you have the fastest starting machine, and also if they're running in the background, it's going to affect your performance. Now if I close this and go down to the taskbar and right click, now I can go to the task manager, and here's another way you can check to see what starts up. The task manager comes up and you have to make sure you have more details. If it comes up this way, you won't see what you need to see. Click on more details and go up to the tab here that says startup. You can see that right here at the top in the middle. And if you click on startup, let me make this full screen so you can see it. It's kind of the same thing that we saw in the startup apps app, but it's in a little different form. This is an older format that used to be on some of the older Windows. Now you can see pretty much the same items here. Cortana, and here it says whether it's enabled or disabled. There's no slider bar or anything for each one, but you can go down. And again, this shows the impact on startup. And a lot of these say none, but the ones that say not measured, I'm not sure. I think maybe if they were measured, it would be a bigger impact than you think. So in order to say startup, we'll pick one that's disabled. We can click on that. And right click actually, and the menu comes up and you can click enable, and see now it's enabled. So when I start up my system, Macro Reflect Watcher will start up with the system. But I don't need to use that all the time, so I'm going to disable it. And now you can see it's disabled. One other way you can check for startup items is in the registry. Now, some people aren't familiar with the registry, but if you are, you can go to the registry by selecting the Windows key and clicking the R key. And if you type in regedit in the box and hit enter, to save a little time, I went through the steps of the registry editor to get here, and here is the page that this key will bring you out to. If you notice right here, if you go to this key in regedit, I'll highlight it there for you. It is local machines, software, Microsoft Windows, current version, run. That's the whole thing. Now you can see here, here's what the items are in there. The bottom three items I see are all in Windows System 32 folder. So I'm assuming they're part of Windows, not going to mess with them. And the top three, there's a Dell Mobile and Mini-Tool Partition Wizard and Macrium. Now I didn't see Mini-Tool Partition Wizard in the other two startup apps, but if you wanted to stop it here, you could just delete this key entry, and any of these here, you could delete these and they wouldn't start up. But unless you're very familiar with the registry, and you can see there's not too many items in here that are worthwhile either starting or stopping. Before you do anything in a registry, make sure you back it up first, back up the whole registry, and then you can try and delete some of these. One last thing you can do, I did a search on the Microsoft website, and I found this page that says add an app to run automatically at startup. We can also add it or delete it from here, but what you need to do is select the Start button. That's the Windows button, and you can hit the Windows logo key and hit R, and you type in shell, S-H-E-L-L, :startup, S-T-A-R-T-U-P. Now we go here and click OK, and that brings us to this startup folder, which is part of the programs folder under the Start menu. And you notice here it's empty. And if we look here, just wanted to show you, the Canon printer is the highest, is the first item on my list here on startup. Now what I would like to do is add one here. I just picked the Adobe Acrobat folder randomly in the program files. Here's the application that runs Acrobat. And if I right click, hold it and drag over, I can leave go and say create a shortcut here. Actually it says create shortcuts, but it's one shortcut. Now I have the Adobe Acrobat as a startup. So that will start up when my PC starts. If you look here in the startup apps, right at the top you'll see the Adobe Acrobat program has been added to my startups on startup of the PC. Now if I go back to that folder, startup folder, I can remove this by just doing delete, and I'll hold the shift key down so it deletes it permanently, and I'll say yes, I will delete it, and I'll close this folder, and we'll go back to the task manager, to the startup, and you see the Adobe is gone from here. And it would also be going from the startup apps here. And that's the way you can do add or delete startup in the startup folder under programs. I just wanted to mention to you that The first two items I showed you how to check your startup apps is probably the easiest and best way to do it. If you get into the registry and the other item I showed you at the end, it's a little bit difficult and you're not going to gain much from that. But just remember, if you see either in the startup apps or in the task manager startup, if you see that the impact of one of the programs says high impact, you should investigate to see what that program is, because that's certainly going to affect your performance on your PC. That's it for today, and I hope you learned something. And if you liked what I did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, that'd be great too. I will put some links in the description to my robot dog, some longer videos so you can see how the dog actually works that I built. I also put the link to the Microsoft page that we looked at that shows how to add a startup program, in case you want to look at that page in the Microsoft website. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you in another video, and have a great day, a great weekend, and a great week next week. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.